Hi there, this is Art and Such with my Rainbow Loom tutorial for Vision from the Avengers and Captain Marvel. We are going to make what you see here, but I'm going to use yellow for the cape instead of the gold this time. And I'm going to use a couple of blue bands for the eyes, although I will also show you how you can thread on some pony beads or white beads, and you're welcome to use a Sharpie to draw on blue and black pupils. For this pattern, you'll need gray bands, gold or yellow, purple or red. I think that's about it. You're going to want a couple of holding hooks, a couple of C-clips, your loom in the offset configuration, and I think that's about it. We're ready to begin. I am going to make the cape a little bit broader than we did the first time, but you have some flexibility there. I just ran out of gold bands, so I didn't add any more on the other side. But we are going to make the cape first because while I originally attached mine at the back, this time we are going to attach it onto the body as we're looming. We're going to try that. So let's take 2 bands. If you have thicker bands, you can get away with using only one at a time. And what I'm going to do is come down each of the rows all the way to the bottom using double yellow bands. And this is kind of nice because a lot of the time we do our capes at the end, and it's like you've done all your hard work and you've got this tedious piece where you have to lay out bands on all of the rows, and it's nice to get that out of the way first and have it at the ready. That's what I think. Anyway, while I'm doing this, let me tell you about some of the things I'm working on, some of the things I have in mind and on my list to make for you. So just so you know what's coming up, what I'm hoping to do, I'd like to get to some more Monster High characters, get in Doctor Strange, the movie's coming out in a while. I have the rest of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. That's set to work on. I started The Invisible Boy, but I wasn't quite happy with him, so he's on hold, but I'll hopefully get you something else soon. I have been asked to do the Munsters, which I'm planning to get before Halloween. And trying to remember what else is on my list just off the top of my head. I've been asked to do a couple of Mickey Mouse characters. The Troubadour the Turtle looks kind of cute, and maybe some more characters from some of the sets that I've done already. If I haven't mentioned one of the things you've requested, don't worry, I do have it written down. It's just not coming to mind at this moment. Okay, we're almost at the bottom here. We're going to put on some holding bands, and you can decide whether you want your cape to be really tight together or really loose. With the gold, I would suggest just using a single across. With the yellow, it's at your discretion. I'm just going to use a single. And the alternative is to use 2 together. Or you can also take a single, stretch it, twist it, and pull one side over the other if you want it really nice and tight. But as I said, I'm just going to use singles. I'm going to stretch them out. So the first one will go across all of your second pegs down. And then one across your third pegs down, your fourth pegs down, and we'll go like this to the bottom. And then you have another choice to make right away. But let me put these down first. So just before we add our side extensions, for those of you who do want the wider cape, on the bottom set here, you can have the pieces flared individually, and to do that, you cap each one with a single. And I just knocked over all of my yellow bands. Oh boy. You cap each one with a single, and when you loop, you're just going to go underneath and loop forward. So quickly show you what that looks like. Like so. Now if you don't want that little flare out at the bottom, what we can try to do is just bring a couple of bands across that bottom piece. So let me take those off. Didn't want to come off. And I'm going to take 2 bands and stretch them across all of the bottommost pegs, and then I'm going to stretch the middle piece over the middle one. And then when we loop, we're just going to go underneath that piece and loop up. So if you're happy with the way this looks, you can loop to the top and then jump ahead a little bit. If you do want it to be a little wider, which I would recommend if you've got the bands and the time, take a single, wrap it 1, 2, and 3 times. 2 times is probably good. And we're going to pull this onto 13 pairs of yellow bands. And I'll say it again, if you're using gold, you might be able to get away with 1 at a time. It won't be quite as thick, but the gold bands tend to be thicker, so at your discretion. It's 3 sets. 4. You know what? Okay. I'll show you this a couple ways. 5. Let's put on 13. Let's put on 12 here. 6 sets. 7 sets. 8 sets. 9. 10. 11. And 12. Now, if you have these flares on the bottom, then what you're going to do is when you place this on, you're going to come to the second or third setup and put your band, put one piece of the chain, one part of the band over the bottommost peg, and then we're going to attach the rest of these. That's, in that case, you do need 13. I'm going to use 12. I think this will work out. And what I'll do is transfer the bands to the top side peg, and then we stretch the chain down, and you can either, well, we'll do it this way. We're going to put our hook through the cap band and put that onto the bottommost peg. So if you want all of your rows to flare out, you're going to attach this one higher, and you're going to need 1 more set in your chain. Now what we do is we go to each of the pieces above and pull out just one single band and bring it over each of the pegs that are in between. And in a minute we're going to do this for the opposite side. I believe that 12 is the right number when we're not doing that bottom side flare. As I said, this is an extension, so the reason we're doing this is to get a wider cape. This is essentially like adding in an extra row on either side, but without stacking it on top, which we will be doing with the body. Take a single, wrap it once and twice, and onto 12 sets of double bands. If you want it to flare out, you can use 13 sets. And 9, 10, 11, and 12. We're going to attach this on the other side. Take the bands that are on your hook and transfer them to the top side peg for your opposite side. Get into that cap band so you can see it sort of curves around at the bottom. You want to put your hook through. Pull that to the bottommost peg, or the second one up if you are, connect, the next loop to the second one up if you're doing the flare out. And we're just going to grab a piece of each chain to pull over the pegs. And in just a minute we'll be ready to loop. Now, of course, now that we've gone to all this trouble, I should mention, if you don't want to have a cape, you don't have to have a cape. I'm sure you've figured that out and you've skipped ahead if you didn't want one, that's fine. And if you wanted to make him in the suit, you could do that as well. You It's just, it's probably going to look sort of similar to what we've got though. Okay, let's turn it to the side, and you can see there are 2 bands coming across on the bottom here from the peg above, and 2 above that. There's sort of a side chain running along the bottom, and those are the bands we're going for. So push back your capping bands, find the bottom 2. Hook is pointed towards the top of the loom, and you're going to wrap it over the next peg. Push back all but the bottom 2, grab those and move them forward. And we're going to loop up this way on each of the rows. Although in the middle one you won't have too much in the way. Now there is a lot of yellow here, or gold, that might seem a bit confusing, but just take your time. Turn your loom to the side when you need to. If it helps, you can always use your hook or your fingers to pull out the bottom 2 bands to see them better or grab them better. And we have a little bit of tension here, so just take your time, especially if you doubled over your holding bands, as some of you might have. You're just going to stop when you get to the top, and we'll loop up the other rows. So middle row, just grab the bottom 2 from inside that peg and loop forward right to the top. Like this row, it's going to be the fast one. If you see any loose bands as you go, grab them, fix it, go back and check it. It would be sucky to have to do this again. So keep an eye that you're getting 2 bands each time, that your holding bands are staying triangular and not pulling up funny, which would tell you that you've got the wrong ones. I've done that before. And yeah, we're going to go back to the other side, look for the bottommost set, and loop those forward. I'm going to pull these ones down a little bit. And just do it at whatever angle works for you here. Watch that the top ones are staying on. You might have to push bands down a little bit as you go. I've got such sniffles today. Now when you get to the top, you have 2 basic options. You can either put this on a holding hook, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, or you can take your hook through each of the 3 top pegs, pull a single band of a different color through, pull one side over the other, and just hold on to that on a C-clip or pull it tight. And then you can remove and it should stay together. Or you can take, I'm going to use this holding hook, come through from the top, come through from the top, come through from the top, get all of those pegs, and then we're going to carefully remove the rest. I'm just going to use another holding hook to do this, but you can use your fingers, whatever. It's going to be tight on the sides. My loom is doing something funny here. I better fix that in a second. At any rate, we're going to get this off, and then we're going to start on the arms and the legs right away. Okay, so there we go. We've got the flat bottom. And we're just going to lay this on the side for the time being. Pop this back into place. It's weird. And let's get another hook ready. We're going to get some pink, purple, or red bands ready, and we're going to start on the arm. So we want 2 of our arm colored bands of the glove for the top. You're going to wrap them together 1, 2, and 3 times and put them onto 4 sets of double, I'm just going to say pink here, double pink bands, double purple bands. It's a little easier than saying arm colored bands or glove colored bands. So that's 1 set of 2, 2 sets of 2, 3 sets of 2, and 4 sets of 2. We're going to switch to gray. I want you to get 3 gray bands together, put them on the end of your hook, and pull the pink ones over. And we're going to do this with another 3 sets of 3 gray bands. So 3 bands together, end of the hook, slide over. 2 more times. 3 bands together, end of the hook, slide over, and 1 more time. Okay. From here, I want you to get 3 gray bands ready on your left hand. I'm going to put this on my left middle finger. Now I'm going to take, you have 2 sets of gray bands on your hook. I'm going to take the ones closest to the hook off. You can put it, I'll do this for your sake. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to put it onto a holding hook for the moment. I'm going to take my 3 new bands, put them on the end of my hook, slide them under the set that's still there, and replace the other side. And then I'm going to put the other piece back on, take another 3 bands, and I'm going to run it through those first 3 loops that are closest to the end of the hook. So I'll put my new 3 on the end, I'll run the closer 3 over, and I'll replace, and I'm going to put this all onto 3 gray bands. If you find this is easier to do on the loom, you're of course welcome to do that as well. I'm going to put this onto my holding hook. I really have to get more of these these hooks with the gauge of 2. I really like the little ones. They're easy to get inside, although they can take a little getting used to. They might be slippy at first. At any rate, let's make our other arm. 2 pink, go wrap 1, 2, 3 times, pull it onto 4 sets of double pink bands. 2, 3, and 4. 4 sets of 3 grays. So 3 gray bands together once, and twice, and thrice, and 1 more time. And this time we're going to take one side off, put it on your hook if you want to, 3 bands onto the top. They go under this side that's further, well, the piece that's still there. Replace, go through the other side, get 3 more grays, and slide them through the 3 loops that are closest to the end of the hook, and replace, and pop this all onto 3 gray bands. Okay, I'll put this with the other arm, and then we're going to make our legs. So we're starting with pink. We're going to take a single, wrap it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Take another single, stretch it, double it over, pull our wrapped band through, replace, put this onto 2 bands, move this over a little bit. We're going to take a single band, wrap it on the end of the hook 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and pull one side of our first piece over. Okay, so you can see there's 2 sides here. We're going to pull the one closest to the end of the hook over the wrapped band so that the wrapped band sits in the middle. And we're going to slide this onto 2 bands. We want to try to keep it in order as best we can. Replace. Take another single, end of your hook, wrap it on 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Pull one side over so that your wrapped one sits in the middle. And we're going to put this onto a doubled over single band. Try keep this all in order still, so it's harder to fix once it's all in place. So we want that wrapped one to stay right snug between. This will go onto another 2 bands. We're going to have a wrapped one in the middle. I'm going to do this a little differently this time. This time I'm just going to hold the piece out, but you can continue to do it by placing it on the side and then pulling your piece over. This does the same thing. And this is going to go onto 3 bands of pink, purple, whatnot, your boot color. Oh, I missed one. Let's try that again. Pop that back in the middle. Do this one section by section here. Slide it even. And then we're going to put this onto another 3 pink. And then we're switching to gray, and we're going to do 6 sets with 3 bands each in them. If you're trying to preserve bands or you're having a hard time with working with so many bands, you can always use 2 at a time. It's just going to make for skinnier legs. There's 4 sets. 5 and 6. And now we're going to do something similar to what we did with the arms. We're going to make sort of our, not our arm, our leg muscles, but our thighs here. So I got 3 bands ready. And we're going to, I'll show you with the hook once. Do I have an extra hook around here? Okay, I'll show you once with the hook, and then I'll show you once without for the next one. So put your hook through the 3 loops closest to the end. Take your 3, slide them through the loops still on your hook and replace. Pop the other side on, get another 3 bands, and they're going to go through the 3 loops that are closest to the end of the hook. And replace, and pop this all into 3 bands together. I'm going to put this onto my holding hook with the one that has the arms here. So there's one leg. We're going to make one more, of course. Go a little bit faster this time. Single purple wrapped 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And yes, I'm using pink and purple interchangeably. It's kind of hard to tell with this color. Double over a single band, pull the wrapped band over, replace, put these onto 2 bands together. You're going to have a wrapped band in the middle, so you can put it on the end and pull your piece over, or just hold one side off while you wrap and then replace. Pull onto 2 bands. And we want another wrapped one in the middle. So I held one piece off and wrapped it directly in, but you can also put it on the end and slide your piece over. As I said, it's the same thing. Doubled over single, pull everything on top, onto 2 more purple bands, put one more in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, replace, and this goes onto 3 pink bands. Uh-oh, I only got 2 there. Because I can see there's something sitting loose right at the end. Let's try that again. Oh, bother. Make sure our wrapped one's in the middle. Let's give this another go. That's what I get for rushing, huh? And one more group of 3. Switching, oh, middle one popped out here. Okay, switching back to gray, 6 sets of 3 bands. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we're going to take off one side. You can put it on a hook or leave it on your finger here. We're going to run 3 bands under the first set and replace. Put the other 3 back, 3 bands under those, and replace. Pull this all into 3 gray bands and pop this on your holding hook. So you can see what I'm doing here just to show you. I'm going to pull these down, and then when I slide them over, they tend to hold together a little bit better. And you add that tension there. Okay, and holding hook. So we now have our limbs and our cape. We're ready to come to the loom. So just show you a couple of things before we start laying these out. On my original here, I've put the I'm gonna make the goatee the same way. I feel like this looks a little bit like a mouth. So if you want to lay it out as the first piece of the neck instead of our first pink that we're gonna do, you can put it lower. If you want to stitch this in afterwards, you can use purple pink for the whole face, and then stitch this in at the end. And I'm also gonna show you, I did 3 sets of purple here. I'm gonna make, I have 3 sets coming down. I'm gonna do it one less time because I felt the purple went down a little too low. But if you want this to be a long section of purple here of skin tone, you can do the full 3 sets. So with that all said, let's begin. We're gonna take 2 purple, come down from the top center to the second center peg, and grab gold or yellow. Take 2 bands down to the second, from the second center to the second side peg, and do that again for the opposite side. Now we're going to take our cape. How do we do this? Just think here. Okay. We're going to take our cape, and we have 3 sections of, looks like about 8 bands each. We're going to put the first 8 onto the second side peg, the middle 8 onto the second center peg, and the last 8 onto the opposite side. So we're going to just press it straight down, push it back off of the hook, and try to do it in the same order so it doesn't get too twisty. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to abandon you there. I just looked and saw my video was almost out of filming time, battery, whatever. I can do about half an hour here, and then I have to stop and come back to it. So I'm gonna get you to just finish placing that cape on. And once you've got it, this is gonna be a little tricky, but what we want to do is release the purple from the back, go inside, and we want to grab it from on top of the peg. So we're just going to pull it out from the top section here, and I'm going to pop the yellow down and just lay that on top because that's going to be for our neck, and this way it will still be on top there. Okay, so we're ready to begin. We're going to have a lot of layers on the side, but let's start by going down the middle a bit. So come to that second peg down, and we're going to lay down 2 more sets of double purple bands. As I said, if you want, maybe I'll take off one just because I want my gold to be showing up a little bit higher. But you can do 3 if you want. And we're gonna switch to gray now and do 4 sets of gray. but I've taken off one set of purple, so I'm going to do a total of 5 sets of double gray down the middle. And this will take us to the 8th peg down in the center. Now on the sides, on both sides are going to be the same. We're going to come down once with double yellow or gold bands from the 2nd peg to the 3rd peg. I'll do that on both sides here. And then I'm switching to gray and I'm using double bands, and we're going to come down until we're 1 peg below where we finished that center one. So that's 3 sets of double gray and 4 sets and 5 sets. And we'll do the same for the opposite side. Start at that 3rd peg down and come down with 5 sets of double gray bands. Now actually, I'll just mention the top set of double yellows, double golds, you don't have to have that there, it's not going to show up too much, but that's what I did the first time and it worked out fine, so I'm going to keep that there. Let us add our holding bands. So we are using gray for all of the holding bands. I'm going to come down to the 7th peg down on the side, and I'm going to stretch one across, one gray across this to the 7th peg down on the other side, and also to the 7th peg down in the center. Now the one above this I will be stretching, twisting, and doubling over, and that will go across your 6 pegs down. It's optional. It's just to cinch in the waist a little bit so that it looks more muscular. And the next 3 are going to be single bands across here. For our arms, let's do our legs first because they're first on our hook. We are going to take 2, what did we do here? We took our 3 bands and we're going to stretch them. Okay, so grab a leg. You have 3 bands, so 3 loops on either side. And you're going to take 3 of them and put them on the 7th peg down on the side, and the other 3 on the 7th peg down on the center, so it's going to kind of slide up diagonally here. And do the same for the opposite leg. 3 on the center, the other 3 loops onto the side. Okay, for our arms, we're going to take 2 gray bands, slide one arm on top. Nope, hold on 1 second, I'm trying to see what in my picture what this looks like. 3 and 3. Oh, okay, so we're just going to take the top 3 bands and they're going to go on to, like, this top 3 hoops, the 2nd peg down, and the next 3 will go on to the 3rd peg down. So stretch it, push it down, don't let these pop up. Make sure you've got all of them and press it down. Same for the other side. And then we'll be ready to start our second, our side extension, second layer here for the top part. And yes, I know it's really thick, but this is going to give him that nice muscular look. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. We're going to take gray bands and we're going to lay 2 bands on top of the arms. Another 2 from the 3rd peg to the 4th peg down on the side, and 1 more set. 2 pegs from the 4th peg to the 5th peg down. Do this for the other side. Starting at the 2nd peg down, we're going to do 3 sets of double gray bands. And then we want to lay another single holding band across the 3rd pegs down and the 4th pegs down. Just before we start looming, I want to make sure we've got everything, and that looks pretty good. Oh, one more thing, cap band. Can't forget that. So the 8th peg down on the center, we're going to take a single gray, push everything else down, and wrap it 1, 2, 3 times. Alright. Okay, are we ready? So I'm looking here, I'm pushing these down, and I can see that the leg on the right side, the side furthest from me here, is the one that is above the other leg. So I want to get under the cap band, find the three bands connected to that leg, hold down the cap band and pull these to the side. And that looks good. So I want to secure this first. I'm going to go to the side, find the bottom 2 gray, put my hook in facing up and loop those 2 forward. And we'll actually loop up 2 more times on the far side. And stop there. Go back to that 8th peg down in the center. Now I can see that my left side bands are sitting above the center ones. Those are the ones at the bottom here. So I'm going to reach in and grab the band for the left hand or the whole side leg there. Make sure I've got everything. Okay. Go to the side. We're going to loop up 3 times to secure. 1, 2, and 3, and stop there. And we're pushing back the holding bands as we go, of course. Go back under and find the bottom 2 bands. Check that there's nothing else hiding in there that we missed. And we're going to loop up until we hit the pink. Okay. Yes, this looks right. So now we want to go to the 5th peg down on the side. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky because you have one set coming from the peg above, and you have the set that went to the one below, and then you have another one coming down. And it's this top set, these top 2 that we want to grab first. So you're going to push back your holding band and get your top 2 bands, the next 2 bands, and we're going to loop those forward. And I have pulled something off of here that I shouldn't have, so let's replace that. Nope, that doesn't look right. Something's wonky. I'm going to make sure I've got the right ones and nothing else. Sorry guys, just give me a second. I want to do this right. Even if it means taking these one at a time. Okay, there. So I see my triangle is still triangular. I've got a nice teardroppy shape. And I'm going to go for the next of the top 2 of the sets that are coming from the peg above. Pushing everything back. I'm just taking those 2 and bringing them forward. And then one more time. Put your finger on the 2nd peg down, and we want to take this top teardroppy layer off into the side. Push in your holding band, get the next 2 in that same shape and pull them over. We'll do that on the set below. And yeah, we're good. Go back to that 5th peg down, push back your holding band, get your bottom 2, and we're going to loop forward 2 times, or 3 times. Well, until you get to the yellow anyway. When you get to that 3rd peg from the top, you want the yellow 2 bands. That's what you're bringing up. And then, this is the hard part, we have to reach through all the bands on the 2nd side peg for the bottom 2 yellow. You might want to pull these up to the side. I think that's what I'm going to do. And just don't let the top one slip in the meantime. Oh, so many yellow bands. Okay, bring those to the 2nd center peg. I'm going to ease off a little tension on the bottom here, and then we will loop up the rest of the far side. So we're going once more to find the top 2 of the sets of bands that are coming down. We're just going to take those and loop them forward. And again, the next 2, loop them forward. All my bands want to come off here again. But I think these are the correct ones, so let me put those in place and then I'll fix these. Okay. And the third time up. I can see it, I just can't get it. Is that the one? Yes, this is the hard part. Okay, there we go. Hold on to the bands on that top, or sorry, second peg down on the side. We're gonna pop over these loops and just the top two sets there, or the ones from the top two sets. Go back to the fifth peg down and loop straight up, bottom two only, until you hit the yellow. So yellow, we're gonna get the bottom two yellow, bring those forward. And then the really tricky part, we have to hold this down while we dig out the bottom two yellows. Forgive me if I'm out of range here for a minute, I just have to get a good view on this. Okay, if you need to pick up 3 at a time, that's fine. Just make sure this is all secured in at the end is what we want. So I just want to make sure I don't have any more loose things here. If you need to grab a couple extras because we've got that cape on, that's fine. Just check that there are no loose bands around the bottom here that are sticking loose. So in the end, I think I ended up pulling up more than 2, and that's okay. We're going to come down to the third peg in the center and loop your pinks up. Go inside, or purples, pull that down, go inside, and get the last ones, last purples from the very bottom. You don't want to come without the yellow. There's one. Careful, careful. And try to pull that down a bit. I feel like this was a lot easier the first time I did it. Do you ever get projects out like that? Where you do it once and it's like a piece of cake, and then you go to do it again, it seems a lot harder. Hold on to the bands on the top center peg and we can ease the rest of this off. Now I'll just give you a sense here what's left. We've got their face to do, which is seriously not so bad, and then we can add on his little side bow. Check that you don't have any bands coming loose. If you want to cinch anything in, you can do that. And take your hook, put it through the pink bands that are on your top center row, and we're going to take the rest of this off. Oh, there, that's so nice. That worked out very nicely, I think. Okay, let's make our head. Oh, I'm so excited we got through the tough stuff. Okay, so we're going to take 2 gray bands, top center to the top right, 2 gray from the top center to the top left, and 2 gray coming down, and 2 gray in the center coming down, and on the side, the other side. And then we're going to switch to our purple, his skin tone. Come down twice on either side with double bands. And it looks like we've got an extra set of double gray in the middle. No, I'm not too sure here. Let's do one more set of double gray. 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, bother, I don't have a picture for this part. We're gonna come down, no, we're gonna switch the center to double pinks. So 1 set of double gray, 3 sets of double pink. 2 pink from either 4th side peg to the 5th center peg. And we're gonna be laying our neck on right away, but let's do our holding bands, which are doubled over singles. Your skin tone come across the 2nd pegs, the 3rd pegs, and the 4th pegs. Show you 2 methods for the eyes. I will be using bands, but if you would like to use beads and they're too small to fit in a hook, what you can do is get a piece of floss or wire, run your floss through both of the beads, run the floss through a piece of your, or a purple band, and then you take the floss back over and run it back through both of the beads from the opposite direction. And what should happen is that they will slide neatly on. Okay, so that's if you did want to use beads. For my bands, what I'm going to do is take turquoisey blue, wrap it 1, 2, and 3 times. Take another one, wrap it 1, 2, and 3 times, and transfer these directly onto a purple. Now if you're using beads with a larger hole, you can do it just like this as well. Try that again. 1, 2, 3, and pop it on. Ugh, I hate these. I've got my body on my nice little hook. That's why I say I should get more, because things just fall off of the big ones, don't they? Just really slowly, really carefully there. Lay this across your 2nd pegs down. We're going to separate and take 1 piece and pull it under your 3rd peg down. Okay, so that is set there. And we're going to do a side extension to give a little thickness to the top part. So take 2 gray bands, come down from the 1st peg to the 2nd, and another 2 from the 2nd to the 3rd. Repeat on the opposite side. Oh, and we didn't put in our gray one, don't bother. Okay, sorry, pop off that bottom holding band. We're going to take off these bottom 2 sets that were coming in from the side, and we're going to switch to the last pink to gray, although as I said, if you want to add that after the fact, you can certainly do that. I'll replace the double bands from the side and replace that holding band. Sorry guys, there. Okay, so that's going to be the little goatee. We have our eyes, we have our side piece, and I'm just going to take a single pink, double it over, and we'll just stretch it across the 2nd pegs down to keep those grays in line. And now we should be ready to loop. Oh, let's put our body on. Can't have a headless vision or a bodiless vision. Okay, so face it with it, your body facing up. You're going to transfer the bands from your hook onto the body. Reach underneath your neck piece here. Find your top 2 pinks and bring them to the right. The next 2 are going to the left, or the side closest to you, and the last ones are going up. I'm going to loom up another 2 times in the center. You can pretty well just ignore the eyes. They shouldn't be, or push under the eyes and then go forward. There you go. On either side, we're going to loom the bottom 2 bands up 1 time. Loom your grays up 2 times. Hold on to your other bands, don't let them slip off. As I said, this is to add a little bit of thickness, give the hair a bit more body, or the helmet, I'm not sure what he has up there. Let's go to that 2nd peg down and pop the grays over to the side. Push back your pink holding band, pop it over. Go to the 3rd peg down and loop straight to the top. Bottom 2 bands only. So the first set is pink, the next set is gray, and then find the bottom two on the top side and bring that to the center. And we'll do the same thing for the opposite side. I'm getting the top two grays. Which again sounds a lot easier than it's actually turning out to be. There we go. Pop your gray loops off of that second peg down on the side. Boy, I really need to stretch my back. This is hard to do when you're old like me. Let's come to the third peg down and loop up 2 times. So one set of pink, one set of gray. Loop into the center and go to the second peg down in the center, loop up once. We're going to take a single gray band, get it ready, which means just put it on a couple of fingers on your left hand. Put your hook through all of the bands on the top center peg. Grab your holding band. You can use 2 if you want to be extra secure. Pull it through, put the other end on, and pull one side over the other and over the top of the hook to create a securing holding band there. A slip knot. Let's carefully take this off. You want to right away press your eyes through to the front. If you have used beads, you can draw your pupils on at any time. Oh, he looks kind of freakish with the bands. I like it with the beads much better. If you have any loose bands, you can pull them to the back. I'm going to tighten up my eye here and put my hook under a couple of nearby bands, grab the securing band and pull it under. This can go onto a C-clip. Now I always say C-clips, but I know these kits all come with S-clips, so of course you're welcome to use those as well. Okay, let's do this little piece here. So if you're using gold, you can use 1 at a time probably. I'm using yellow, so I'll use 2. And I'm just going to stitch this in. So let's start with 2, wrap them 1, 2, 3 times. And if you're using gold, you can use probably 1 in any of these places. I'm going to slide this onto 2 bands. And then I'm going to put my hook through just to the side of the purple. Grab 1 piece of the yellow, pull it to the back. Can pop this on a C-clip or just hold it for the moment. And I'm going to go through from the opposite side. Take the other part of the yellow, yes, he's upside down, slide it through, like so. I'm going to put one side over the other and just secure this for the moment here. Alright, and then we're going to, if you feel there are any pieces missing around the side that you want to fill it in a little clearer, you can take 1 or 2 bands and put your hook through just to the side of the yellow there. It's where I see it sort of missing. Pull it to the back, and I'm going to come up, and you can always put this on a holding hook or a C-clip while you're finding your next part. Grab the other side and pull it through. So wherever you need that to be there. And then we're going to secure that on the C-clip as well. And look at that, he's all done. I'm trying to remember, it's been a while since I've done any Avengers characters, but I do believe I've got, what's her name? Scarlet, the witch, the one by Elizabeth Olsen, right? So check that out. Maybe I'll put together a playlist with what I've got. I'll have to look into it. Like I said, it's been kind of a while, but there is your vision. And I thank you so much for watching.